Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This is Kedar from KMIT and NGIT. We also have the gracious presence of Shri Maithili Sharan Gupta, uh, who is the Special DGP for Police Reforms. We are here to talk about how we are going to make India crime-free, which is a movement that was started by Shri Maithili Sharan Gupta ji, and he during this process has had an MOU with our college, and that MOU is now progressing into several projects that are going to help achieve the objective of crime-free Bharat, which is his vision for 130 crore people in India. Having given a brief introduction, I would now like to start the meeting. Today's agenda, thank you, sir. Uh, Today's agenda is an interaction, a live interaction with Maithili sir, with one of our teams at KMIT, which is called Team Alpha. During today's meeting, we will discuss about the project requirements and how this project can help support our larger objective. Uh, Over to you, Abhishek and team.
Thank you, sir. A very good afternoon to Maithili Sharan Gupta, sir. So we are the team Alpha. I would start off with introducing our uh, project that is being assigned to us. So for better understanding, we made a draft of our understanding so far. So I would like to share that. Yes, sir. Is my screen visible, sir?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. We are the team Alpha, and the project that is being assigned to us is requisitioning of information from various sources, sir. And the sources included in the project description were telecom service providers, banks and financial institutions, reservation systems, CCTV and IoT devices, revenue and corporate society, and others. We are a team of four, sir, namely myself, Abhishek, and other three, Ashrit, Krishnadeep, and Sai Venkat Arjun. We have written a brief idea of our understanding of the project so far, sir. So our project aims to develop a system which can be used to demand the use or supply of information from the said sources by official order. For example, like a warrant. The existence of such systems will eliminate the cumbersome of collecting data manually and help automate the process for better efficiency. Sir, we have written few attributes from each of the source so that the things which are required for our investigation. I would start off with the telecom service providers. The first would be the location tracking mechanism, and the next would follow the call log and text messages. Talking about them, if we are interested in tracking the location of the person of interest, then we can go by the network, which helps us track the location of that particular network holder by the help of the signal hits to the towers. And similarly, the case of call log and text messages to understand the person's interaction with his other relatives or any other people who are could be the matter of interest. And next would follow the banks, where we would be interested in fetching the account statement, Aadhaar card, PAN card, his IT returns, credit card history, his recent purchases to note the current activity or his location, and then followed by the ATM transactions, and the rest is credit and debit card purchases. Similarly, we have written down for reservation systems also, sir. Source, destination, payment details, time and date of journey, mode of transport, seat number, platform of payment, identity card, contact details, IP address, etc. And in a similar case for the other two, CCTV systems, IoT devices, revenue, corporate society, and others, about which we wanted to ask you questions for to help our clarity, sir. Sir, so this was our understanding so far.
I
So we would like.
I deeply appreciate your understanding, and certainly it will require many elaboration. So before at outside I can elaborate, I will hold for some time. First, I would like to address your question, and then probably I will give you the broader picture how we would like to address the whole issue. So please, first you ask the question you are having in your mind. So I will first clarify those questions, and then at the end I will try to give the additional information which will be helpful to you to take this project forward.
Sure, sir.
And I expect that you would be conducting a detailed literature survey, and in the light of that literature survey, that there will be review of the concept, because at the moment you have just heard something and you have framed some ideas. Now, for those ideas, you are supposed to do the detailed literature survey. Lot many tools have been designed, lot many work has been done. It is available in open source. So those things should be tapped, and then we have to devise our strategy so that we can do the same job relatively smartly. And here there will be many issues. Number one, issues of mapping. So who is SHO, who is requisitioning authority? A formal requisition would be created by the system which will appear on the app of investigating officer, which he is supposed to sign digitally. And the moment he signs, it becomes a official order under section 91 CRPC. I will be time and again will be referring law so that you can also become little aware about the law. And I request you that you kindly refer it to Google and read those sections also, because that will help you to better comply with the requirement. So a well-drafted order, we will give the copy of the draft to you, and then it has to be converted to the different language, because we are talking of India, we are not talking of Madhya Pradesh, we are not talking of Uttar Pradesh, we are not talking of Telangana or Andhra Pradesh. We are talking of the whole country. It means we have to address that local language issue also, and the order will be created wherever that matter is being handled. So, first of all, we have to know who is creating or who is the competent authority. So, basically, it will be decided by the case registered, and every case is registered in the police station having jurisdiction, right? So, whole country that has been geo-fenced, and whatever that area is lacking, we will be in process of further refining our geo-fencing. So, on the basis of the geo-fencing, the crime will be registered in Thana, or since Thana is already geo-fenced, so we will know whose Thana, and that profile is also mapped in. So we know whose app has to be approached for pushing this requisition order. That requisition order will be a formal legal order, which will be something like that. In exercise of power conferred under section 91 of the CRPC, so and so is hereby ordered to provide this information, and this information should be pushed through this, or should be reached physically to the this station, right? And the place. So either it could flow digitally, and if it is flowing digitally, then a system should create a certificate of admissibility under section 65B. So that those processes has to be inherently designed in this, because every time we are very conscious about its legal admissibility. We are not talking of the detection. We are not talking of arrest. We are not talking of recovery. We are talking all the time, I am on conviction in court of law. And that too with certainty, with plenty of evidence. And out of many plur, there are basically 4 plur of evidences. One plur is a collection of evidence from scene of crime. Second pillar would be information which is received from witnesses. Third pillar, some information may be tasked to the volunteer, and they will cross verify, and that information flow back. So that will be the information coming from community volunteers. Fourth information will be coming from our devices, that is the CCTV and IoT devices. And fifth, and which is your pillar, that is not 4 pillar, 5 pillars. The fifth pillar is your pillar, that is the requisitioning of information from various providers. So depending upon the type of information we are looking for, it will be provided by the concerned quarter. Now, first of all, we must know what we want to requisition. So the first requirement of your project, that you must understand that what is to be requisitioned and why it is to be requisitioned, right? So the backend intelligence will create a very definite order what we want from a particular authority, right? Now that order after signature from SHO will be pushed to concerning authority, and then authority may not comply with. So there has to be a live monitoring with it. So the monitoring is also part of the requisitioning, when we have to hammer that this information was requisitioned from you and it is not at receipt, right? So there has to be the multiple monitoring channels. When we talk of the multiple monitoring channels, it means it may be by email, by SMS, via voice, and through the robotic voice, which will be intelligently even talking to the person and pushing that please this information should be given. So one is something like voice recorded prefixed bombarding of voice message. Another is a live interaction which we are ensuring from a person, and whatever the person is saying, that is being extracting and becoming the part of the database, and we are our robotic voice will be putting intelligent question like it is happening with the Siri or by anybody else, something like that. Now, if the person is or the authority is failing to provide the information, the same requisition system will, along with the evidences of the persuasion or whatever efforts has been made, they will push the case for prosecution of that authority for violation of the section 91. So there should be certainty for not providing information, for prosecution for non-compliance of section 91 of the CRPC. This should be also be the part of the requisitioning itself. Now, let's say that information is given. Whether that information is complete or this information is a part information. So we have to have that AI-based model to ensure whatever we wanted to come from that authority, whether it has come in full. Sometimes we do not get full information. So it means the system has to understand what is the full information and what are the likelihood of the gaps. So AI will look into those gaps, and if required, it will generate a supplementary requisition is not required. A supplementary query will be generated that your information is not complete. Please provide this information this way. So that kind of the things, because that once the authority has given, we need not to give all the time that same authority time and again, right? Now, despite our or say in few cases we will get the full information, and or even if we get the part information after processing, we will get the full information. That full information then has to be processed and it has to be pushed to the database. Now we will look the information in 3 parts. The part 1 would be when that information which we have received, after the due interpretation, it is having legal value of evidence. So that AI will be put to identify whether the piece of information which you have received or what piece of information is having evidence value. The moment that is identified, it will be probably, it has to be just like expert. We have to make it more elaborate, which could be understood by defense lawyer, which should be understood by our prosecution, our prosecutor, and should be understood by the police, and should be understood by the judge. In that format, it has to be processed and and then it has to be pushed to the code along with the date and time and location stamped and encrypted and protected with the blockchain technology. This protection would be through the hash-to-hash verification, and if there is any manipulation in between, though the technology will not allow that to happen, immediately the system will create it as a cyber crime, and then that cyber crime will be reported. So if by chance, if hacker, anybody is going to try to do any kind of the manipulation, it will generate another crime, and that person will be prosecuted. The backend cyber security system, backend cyber investigation system will come into the play to help us to push all the evidences which are otherwise regularly being captured in the background. So those evidence will already be available with us. It's just question of pushing them for a particular reporting. I think this point is very important, that we will be all the time cautious if by chance somebody is trying to manipulate, because now that there are n number of the technologies available whereby evidences could be manipulated. Something like deep fake. It's a very powerful technology which can, do wonders. Now that kind of the wonders has to be blocked. So though the technology is available for the manipulation, but we will not leave any space or opportunity for such technology to manipulate our evidence. So once evidence has been identified, then we will have some grading of evidence so that we should know what is the value of this particular evidence in the eyes of law. Then second thing which it will immediately capture, who will prove it in court of law. So those logic has to be there. So that evidence will be packed with four things. It will be packed with 3 certificate and 1 with detail, who will prove it in court of law. So 3 certificate, though I have repeated many times, but I will take this opportunity again to repeat it. First certificate would be certificate of integrity. The second certificate would be the certificate of admissibility under section 65B of Evidence Act. And third certificate would be certificate of chain of custody. So wherever that evidence is moving, it with that certificate of chain of custody will come. Okay, this is the original evidence. It has not been manipulated, and there was no scope of any manipulation. So a emphatic certificate has to be created, which will be attached with this evidence, and then there will be one document which will be giving the detail who will prove this evidence in court of law. Now you have to realize that all evidences will not go in court, because if we are having very many evidences, all evidences if we push into the court will take abnormally high time to decide and fix them. So it is nowhere in our vision that we will be pushing all evidences. We will be only pushing evidences which are good enough for procuring conviction, or they are sufficient for the conviction. So rest of the evidences will sit with the system. In the challan, we will make it a mention that we are enclosing only these many evidences, though we are having total number of these many evidences. So if by any reason, if the judge feels that evidences by any reason, they are not enough, then he has to write those reasons and press a button. Our system will push the next set of evidence. So the first category, we said there will be the 4th category of the things. So the first category would be the evidence. And while we are talking about the evidence, we talked about the certificate. We talked about who will prove in court of law and what is the evidence value. That is the basically 3 certificate, who will prove it, and what is a quantum number which will be having the value of this evidence before the court of law. You people will be having a number of legal students. We will be very shortly, we will be allotting to your team, because basically they will be helping out to assess evidence value and those kind of the detail. They will be also helping you in finalizing the various certificate drafts, and those drafts will be created by making logic of the mail and merge. So from the database, those certificates would be created, and the certificate will be not a generic kind of the certificate. They will be very, very specific certificates for that particular case, for that particular evidence. Now, this is about the evidence part. The second is the things are not having the evidence value, but by interpretation, we need that there could be a good investigation lead. Now, the investigation lead has to be created in a absolutely non-technical language, a language which could be understood by a normal police person who is having the zero technical knowledge. Or I will all the time that if the same piece of information be given to the community volunteer, whether he can do the reasonable job, because we will always treat community volunteer as an alternate to our police force wherever we are feeling that enough things are not flowing from them. And these community volunteers, they are having the legal responsibility under section 39 CRPC. So the investigation lead, and when we will talk of the investigation lead, it means AI to identify or frame the language and the details which investigating officer has to really do the necessary investigation and extract the information which we expect through that investigation lead. And investigation lead means it will be helping in creating or identifying more evidences. Since whatever the things will be coming, it has to sit in a database. So while you are talking of the requisition, what information you will be requisitioning, where it will go and sit in a database, right? And then another team will be working on the security, cyber security of the database and those kind of things, right? So here, when we are giving that investigation lead, the system will also give a compliance module. So police, after doing its job, either the compliance module will extract the information automatically or some information, whatever bare information is need to be. So this compliance module may suggest, give the technology or through the same app, which will help the police person to extract that information. Number one. Number two, some information need to be filled. That information, that kind of the option would also be available in compliance module, and we will try that errors should be minimized. So wherever is possible, we will mask our particular data so that inadvertent error must not take place on the end of or at the end of investigating officer. This information or compliance, again, when it comes, we would be there will be the, as we are doing in say requisition, same monitoring we will be doing with the investigating officer also. So if he is failing to give the compliance, it will be having the same kind of monitoring system with the investigating officer, and we will try to assess the performance of investigating officer. So the compliance module will have the inbuilt that IQ to ascertain the quality of work and speed of work and how fast and how correct they have done it. Here at the back end, we will try to see how that supervisory officer should help investigating officer and how we can extract that supervisory officer, they have played their role in helping that investigating officer. So that is the now the investigation lead part we have discussed. Now we come to the third part. Whatever the information is coming, it is not having immediate evidence value. It is not having immediate investigation lead value also. So it has to go and sit in a database as a record. and when it will be read in totality, or when it will be read in even with reference to the many other offences, or with a location another criteria, we would be in position to draw n number of inferences. That inferences may be about the route being used by the culprit, information about by the mode of the vehicle which is being used. A number of the inferences could be drawn. As we will proceed, I will brief you how those inferences could be drawn by the AIs. So the third element is a record per se, and it is not having immediate neither the evidence value nor it is having investigation lead value, but it will go and sit in a database to be interpreted holistically to draw the other inferences, and there will be n number of engines to draw those inferences. So this is in nutshell the requisitioning come monitoring come evidence assessment come we can say investigation lead and investigation lead compliance and performance appraisal. And then the third part would be where the information coming and sitting in a database, and then later on by having the different engine, that database is drawing various inferences. That is inferences about the modus operandi of the crime, inferences about the associate of the crime, inferences about how they use their leisure time, and what is their way to basically how they are exactly even before the real modus operandi, there will be issues how they really get to work and how they get collected, how they really the rendezvous point where they are meeting for commission of the offense, and sometime during the commission of the offense they don't really move out together, so they will be moving separate, and then they might have some design where they will meet, and then probably whatever that proceed of the crime that will be taken or distributed, or it will be then disposed of, or the proceeds monetary value might be distributed. So whatever, I mean, each criminal gang might be behaving differently, but those inferences could be very well be drawn by interpretation of those data, and based on that inferences, then we can look for the supportive evidences. It means a requisition would be generated to the CCTVs and IoT devices if something has been captured by them to support that. So even if it is not having that immediate value, even that piece of the evidence will come and it will sit in database to be used as and when it is required. In one go, I have explained lot many things. I'm not very sure that how nicely you have really grasped it. So I am very sure that many things may not be very clear to you. So I would like that you can ask a number of the question of my explanation, or if you feel it is very clear, then you can proceed for the next question.
So, sir, regarding the evaluation of the validity of the information that we obtain from the sources, so isn't that like we specify in the warrant itself, we mention them what is our requirement, and accordingly we get the information, or we get the complete information and then
That's
filter
very
out our.
true. That that is really it means the requisition has to be very smartly drafted. So we will be telling you various logic, and lot many logic you have to really create at the time of your literature survey also. I will help you to refine those logics, and the very smart जो है requisition has to be that requisition has to be done under 91 CRPC. यदि आपने जो है गार्बेज मांगा तो आपको गार्बेज मिलेगा. So you have to know that you have to get Sanjeevani. So you should know what the Sanjeevani is and how to draft the query to get Sanjeevani. I think this point will be clear. when we will be proceeding. If you want any question on this, you can ask. You can ask any question on any issue.
So, sir, I am mentoring this team. So I had a question related to uh, now, if we think of a requisition system like say, let's take the example of the telecom, getting the telecom related information. It could be network information, call logs, etc. So, what is the procedure for getting it? Is it is it is the information supplied to us, or do we have to go and extract it from somewhere? How does that work?
Basically, normally the law says that a formal requisition, legal requisition, has to come from investigating officer. So that is the order under 91 CRPC. If you recall in beginning, I have just narrated how it will be drafted and what will be the words we will be using. That in exercise of the power conferred under section 91 of the CRPC, you are here ordered to give this information, and we can prescribe the options also. Okay, he can send it on the email, or he can. So since our requisition will be quite voluminous, because we will be working on all probabilities, and the system will be creating requisition on all probabilities. So it is basically left on the person or authority which will be receiving our requisition. Generally, they are called the nodal officer. So it is on them to basically entertain our query, and then send the reply of our queries and documents or details we have sought from them. Right?
Yeah.
When our volume will be increasing on them, then probably they may request us to devise API-based solution. So if we receive their request, or even without receiving their request, we will develop the technology so that whenever they want, we can have a patch for them. Hey, you use this patch, it will help you to extract the data from your database to our requirement. But we will leave it to their pleasure, because it is their legal responsibility to provide the information, failing which they should be ready to be prosecuted. Failing which, not only they should be ready to be prosecuted, our system will be immediately invoking such warrant under section 93 and 94. Then our police force as a Hanuman will be going there, and here we are deliberately using Hanuman word for our police, because then he will be having the Rudrup of what Hanuman did in Lanka. So virtually he will go like a Hanuman in Lanka, and he will take away everything kind of from there. And the second simile we would like to draw with the Sanjeevani and Himalaya. So we don't expect our Hanuman to understand what is the Sanjeevani. So virtually we expect our Hanuman to take away the whole Himalayas. And that whole Himalayas is having little element of the destruction in mind, so as to teach a lesson that the people should comply with the legal provision. So then a whole system will be taken away from there, and it will be put to a technical team. So there will be a technical team who will extract those details personally and legally. Right? So,
Right.
but that is a more like a threat. The moment they will understand that they are likely to be prosecuted, they will be too eager to devise a solution with us. Since they may not be knowing our requirement, things like that. So we might create the patches which can entertain our command and understand our command and help to extract the information which is sitting with them. When our patch will be extracting the information from there, it will be simultaneously generating a certificate also, certificate of the 6B, which will describe the whole process, how that information has been extracted, and information is real, and that information will be encrypted, and all kind of the things will be done. So there will be end-to-end encryption, and then there will be decoding at the end of database, as it happens even in WhatsApp and other things also.
Yeah. So, sir,
So that
just
kind of that, yeah.
sir. So, just a follow-up question. I understood you are saying that information can come in a digitized way, and it might come in a non-digitized way as well.
We will not. We will be unhappy to handle non-digital information, but yes, if they prefer that, or the information is available at that end in a paper format, so still it will be जो है ना digital information only. Then they are supposed to scan it, and then it will come in the form of image. Our many of the project, they are already in Smart India hackathon, and in other projects they are already solutions are being developed to entertain these images. So the images will be entertained. And from that image, we will be in position to convert them into the text, and that the text will be extracted and it will go and sit in the database. But wherever the information come in a pure digital format, because image is not a pure digital format, though it is digital, but it is a non-readable, it's an image format. So from image, extracting information will require little extra tedious process, which we are already ready to do, or we will be refining that process. So we will be in position to handle both the things, image, and we will be in position to handle pure digital content, whatever is flowing to us. But at the same time, we have to be cautious that whole chain has to be verified. We have to use the blockchain technology. Everywhere we have to use the hash protection, and we have to make it sure through the chain of custody, or through the blockchain technology, that no manipulation has been done from their database to our database, or even when it is being put up to the code. So whatever the happening in the whole process, the blockchain technology will be verifying its integrity. And blockchain technology may certify it, but we have to create a vocal certificate giving the details how we have ascertained and how we are proving its integrity. So integrity has to be appreciated by a court, and court is not a basically technical authority. So we have to prove in a layman language how it is a pure, no manipulation has been done, right?
Okay.